Here we go. All right, so let's all just find a seat. I'm gonna try to move this giant dog pin out of my way. I hope you guys can hear this. Okay, so let's just find a seat and begin just by closing your eyes. And I do recommend that you take a seat that's going to open up your hips a little bit here. Some of these postures require open hips. So let's work on that a little bit. We'll also work on our hamstrings and we'll do some twists. So let's just get settled. Close the eyes and start to deepen the breath. I forgot to mute you guys. I'll do that while you guys are settling in. Let your knees drop towards the floor, any amount. And think about feeling rooted. During this practice today, keep that connection with the ground. Let that help guide your balances. Use gravity in a way that's going to support that balance practice. Yes, you have to lift like we lift now through the belly and through the spine, through the crown of the head, but you also have to make that connection with the ground. So notice that from the very beginning. Maybe relax the corners of your mouth, the space in between your eyes. And let's bring our hearts to our hands today and set an intention for our practice. I'd actually like to guide the intention this morning. And if it's not for you, that's fine. If you have one that you'd like to set for yourself, but I'm going to suggest the intention that I can, I will, I am, I do. And I stole that from another teacher, but I think it's really important to remember that we are capable of more than we know. I am, I can, I will, I do. So throughout this practice, if you find yourself becoming frustrated or feeling like you can't, take a chance on yourself. Take a chance, see what happens, know your limits, and know that wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. So with that, let's open our eyes. Excuse me. And let's start with a little shoulder roll this morning. Let's roll them up and back down the body. Loosen up through those arms. We're going to be using our arms a lot today. I know you guys are all super strong. And then roll them back and forward. You're going to be using those triceps too. So we'll stretch those out. And let's take, after you're done with that roll, let's just take a little tricep stretch. So we're going to reach left arm back. Try to reach the space in between your shoulder blades with a flat palm. I like to place my right arm on the top of my head and then guide that left elbow back. Find that stretch through the back, through the shoulder, and let's also just take a little lean towards the right. Open up that side, open up the left lat. And then come back to center and release. Then we'll switch sides. So right arm is going to come back. Let that hand reach for the space in between the shoulder blades. Guide the right elbow back with the left hand. Opening up to that right shoulder. And then I'm going to take that little bit of lean towards the left. Open up to the right side body through the right lat. Find your breath. Sometimes it gets stuck. And then come back to center. And release. Just shake that out a little bit. And then I want to come into Dandasana. which is just this straight-legged pose with your feet out in front of you, right? We'll move into a forward fold, but first, I want you to think about taking your hands and placing them next to your hips. If you have blocks, that can be really helpful. Maybe your arms aren't super long, or maybe you just need a little bit of an assist, but if you have the blocks, you can press into the blocks. So make this an active pose. Maybe you have books, whatever you have. Take those hands next to the hips, flex the toes, and press into the ground. Navel pulls back towards the spine. Flex your feet so much that your heels lift off the floor. Feel this strength in your arms, how it lifts you. And then release. Arms come up, and then we're going to reach forward for those feet. Maybe you have a strap if you need it. Start by trying to fold forward with that flat back. Really active stretch. Reach, 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 reach. Maybe you can grab the sides of your feet, maybe your toes, ankles, calves, whatever you can get there. Keep that flat back for another breath or two. And then relax the head. Let the head and neck be heavy here. I really like to even sort of roll my shoulders in this pose. I feel like that gets a nice stretch down the sides of my spine. Just play with that for a minute. Maybe bringing a little bit of movement into this posture will help you find space in areas beyond your hamstrings. So drop that low back. And if you've been wiggling around like me now, take a moment to find that stillness. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears. And then reach past the toes, pull the belly in and lift up nice and high. And then we're going to take a spinal twist from the floor here. So let's keep the left leg out straight, and then we're going to bend the right knee in towards the chest. Right foot comes flat down to the ground, left toes flex up towards the ceiling. Really pull that knee into the chest for a minute. Feel that little stretch in the right glute. And then when you are ready, we're going to take a twist towards the right. Right hand comes behind you for your little kickstand. Let that assist in your twist. If you like, you can take your left arm and hook it over the right knee. We do find ourselves in this position in some of these arm balances. So let's really stretch out that spine, stretch those shoulders and back. Sit up nice and tall. One more big breath. And then release. And we'll switch sides. So the right leg comes out straight in front. Left leg comes across. Plant that left foot down. Oh my goodness. Molly and Lori have hurt me this week. All right. Woo. Pull that knee in towards the chest. My left glute. Oh my goodness. Right toes high. Take a moment to just pull that knee into the chest. Let that hip and glute stretch out, and then let's move for that twist. So the left hand comes back behind, spine nice and long. Still pull that knee in, pull it across your body. And if you want to try that extra little stretch, take the right arm and hook the elbow over. I said the knee, but it's not really your knee. You're above that kneecap joint. You're more on your right thigh. Find that twist, really twist it out. Find your breath. You might look back behind you to complete the full spinal twist. Shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll release that twist. And let's roll onto our backs. We'll just do a little bit of core work here. We've got to fire up that core, get it ready. It's going to do a lot of support for us this morning. So bend the knees up towards the ceiling. Back foot on the ground. We'll just start with a series of crunches. Let's just do 10 regular crunches. We'll go kind of slow. Keep the low back on the floor, elbows wide. Up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold up. Take the arms out parallel to the ground. And now reach your fingertips past your toes. We're still just reaching straight ahead though, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Legs up. Toes reach for the ceiling. Arms reach towards the toes for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pause. We're going to do little scissors with our legs. Leave the right leg up. I like to reach for my ankle. Left leg comes down parallel to the floor, but it doesn't touch. And then we're going to switch. So this is 1. Lift the left leg, drop the right for 2. Switch. 3, switch. 4, switch. 5, switch. 6, switch. 7, switch. 8, switch. 9, switch. 10. Both legs come up, lower the head down. Right leg is going to stay up, left leg comes all the way down to the ground. Pull that right leg in towards the chest, any amount. Maybe you have a strap that you want to wrap around the ball of the foot. You can take a minute to roll out your ankle while you're here. Shoulders release down, low back touches the floor. Last little stretch on the floor here, then we'll get up and get into our flow. All right, bend that right knee, pull it into the chest. Even take it and pull it into your right armpit. Open up that hamstring. And then we'll switch sides. Right leg extends, toes point upward, left leg reaches towards the sky. Let the low back remain on the floor. Remember, staying grounded and rooted. You might roll out your ankle. Try to relax those shoulders. That can be a little tough, especially when you're trying to pull your leg in. Let your hamstring open up. And then let's pull that knee into the chest and that left armpit. That's a different dog. I think that one's Nina. All right, and then let's release that. Then we're just gonna roll over. Find our tabletop. Just take a few cat-cows here at your own pace. Stretch out that belly after those crunches. Stretch out those lats and your back. You might even find a little movement and motion here. That feels nice. You can make circles with your hips and your neck. Whatever feels good for you, just loosen up. And then we'll tuck the toes, press back for down dog. Reach those heels down. Pedal your feet. Let the hands spread wide, hips stay lifted, navel towards the spine. Try to let your head and neck be heavy here. Just walk it out. Then find stillness. Press those heels down. Lift the hips. Press back. Bring your chest through your arms towards your thighs. And then we'll do our little waddle walk all the way to the top. So walk with the legs straight, all the way up to the top of the mat for a forward fold. And just hang here for a minute. Open up to that low back. Backs of the legs. Bring your breath into any of those tight areas. And then let's clasp the hands at the back, low back of the sacrum here, and then extend through the elbows. Rinse those arms out overhead. Find that stretch. Again, letting the head and neck be heavy. Lengthen across your collarbone. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then release the hands down. Bend the knees, squat down, chair pose. So chair pose, it's like a squat, right? But our feet are together, okay? No space in between the toes. Knees over the toes, not past the toes. Sit those hips back. Spine nice and long. And then rise all the way up. Hands come down to heart. Take a moment to find your breath. And we'll start to move through our flow. I'll move this dog crate so I don't break my face on it. All right, so a few Surya Namaskar A's, a few Surya Namaskar B's, and then we'll move into some of those balanced postures. Arms sweep out and up, reach up nice and tall. Maybe find a little bit of a back bend here. Squeeze those glutes. And then flat back forward fold all the way down. Halfway lift. Plant the hands down, step back, plank pose. Hang it on your plank. Really activate those lats. Navel comes in. Remember, we're not sinking in the shoulder blades. We're pushing up. Nice. Bend the elbows, graze those ribs. Let's come all the way down to the belly. Come to the tops of the feet. Knees lift off the ground. Use your low back to lift you into low cobra. Squeeze your elbows in. And release. Reverse push-up. Back to plank. Then meet in down dog. Big breath in and out. And let's waddle walk all the way back to the top of the mat. I love that. That feels so good for me. I hope it feels good to you guys too. Then reverse lift all the way up. Hands come to heart. Arms sweep out and up. Flat back, forward fold all the way down. Let's take this one slow again, halfway lift. Plant the palms, step back to find your plank. Maybe you're on your knees, that's okay. Lower down all the way to the ground. Lift for cobra. Squeeze those elbows in and release. Tuck the toes. Plank pose. Lift the hips, down dog. Big breath in and out. Last time to walk those feet in, or you can keep with that, but at this point we can add that jump in if we're ready. Reverse lift all the way up. Reach, reach, reach. Hands to heart. Arms sweep out and up. Flat back, forward fold. And if you're ready to move into that jump back, feel free, take it safe. If you're doing the jump, please land in chaturanga. And if you're ready for that up dog, take that stretch out the front of the body. On the tops of the feet, knees lift, shoulders away from the ears, and then roll over the feet. Down dog. Big breath in and out. High on the toes, bend the knees, and come to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Arms come out and up. Reach up. Hands to heart. 2 more, just like that. Take it at your own pace here. You can step back. You can float back. Whatever you're ready for. Move at your speed. Maybe there's a part of the series that you want to focus on. Maybe you want to take it just a little bit more slow. That's fine. Move at our own pace with these two. Work through it the way you feel like working through it this morning. Think about each piece of each pose. And when you're done, let's all meet in down dog. We'll take 5 big breaths here. With every inhale, think about that mantra. I am, I can, I will, I do. One more big breath, then we'll meet at the top of our mat. Walker hop, forward fold, arms reach out and up, hands come to heart, pause, close your eyes. One more big breath here, and we'll move into Surya Namaskar B. Arms come out and up. Exhale, forward fold, flat back, all the way down. Halfway lift. Plant the hands, move through your flow. Meet in down dog. Right leg comes up. Bend and spin that hip open, press the left heel down. Extend the right leg. From here, we're going to take the right knee to the right elbow. We're going to do that 3 times. So, come to plank, right knee, touch that right elbow. Pause, and then extend back up. One more time, 2 more times. Right knee, right elbow. Pause, extend up. Right knee, right elbow, pause. Extend up. And step the right foot in between the hands. Lower the left knee, lower the top of the left foot. Chest lifts. Square your hips. Press your hips forward. Square them off. Get a little bit deeper here. Then let's lower the chest just a little bit. We're going to walk the right foot towards the right edge of the mat. Weight comes into the left hand. Right hand comes to the inside of the right thigh and push that right thigh open. Weight is in your left hand. Really open up through the hip. You're rolled onto the right edge of your right foot. Hips still pressed forward. Then release that stretch, walk the foot back in, and then we're going to sit back on the left heel, right toes find the sky. I don't come all the way down here. I still feel like it's really active. My hips are reaching back, but I'm not sitting down. Toes are lifted, stretch out through that right hamstring. Feel like you're pulling in different directions. Hips pull back. Your right foot is pulling away from you. And then bend that right knee. Tuck the left toes. We'll come up for a lunge. Let's find a little balance here. Take the hands back behind you. Again, we're going to reach up and over. Chest comes to the inside of the right thigh. Find a little balance here. Stretch out those arms. And then release. Hands come back down. Step back. Move through your flow. Back to down dog. This time, left leg lifts. Bend and spin the hip open. Extend the left leg. And now we're going to bring left knee to left elbow. Pause here. And then extend the left leg back. 2 more times. Left knee, left elbow. And extend up. Left knee, left elbow. Last time, reach up. And then step it through in between the hands. Drop the right knee. Come to the top of the right foot. Chest lifts. Press the hips forward. Remember, you can always put a blanket under your knee if it's tender, or fold up your mat. Shoulders stay down. Then let's reach the hands down. Left foot walks to the edge of the mat. Right hand at the right edge of the mat. Start to put your weight in your right hand. Open up your left thigh. Press into the inside of the left thigh with the left hand. Open up to the hip. Breathe into that stretch. And then release that, walk the foot back in. And then we're gonna send those hips back. Reach the left toes high. Hips square. Think about straightening the left leg. Guide your breath into that opening in the left hamstring. And then come forward, weight comes into the left foot, tuck the right toes. And this low lunge, you know where we're going, so set yourself up for that balance. Hands come behind, cross your fingers the awkward way, and then rinse those arms out overhead, lower the chest towards the ground. Feel connected to the ground, find that balance. A little bit of wobble in the ankle, that's all right. Then release the hands, step back, and move through your flow. Down dog. High on the toes, bend the knees, come to the top of the mat. Now, leave the belly on the thighs, hands reach forward. Sit nice and low, chest is parallel to the floor. Stay in that chair pose. Now bring your hands to your heart. You're really bent over those legs. We're gonna take a twist. Let's start by taking the right elbow over the left thigh. Cross. So you're still trying to keep your knees together. Try to keep them square over the toes, which means you probably have to pull your right knee back a bit. And at the same time, you're squeezing your torso or rotating it. I feel like my right side is squeezing. Rotate that left chest open. And then release and just fold forward over the legs for a moment. Find a big breath in and out. One more. We'll do that again towards the other side. So sink the hips back and down. Chest on the tops of the thighs. Reach the arms out in front. Now hands come to heart. Twist the left arm over the right thigh this time. Check out those knees. Try to keep them together and square, and then rotate the chest open to the right. And release, forward fold. Straighten those legs. Let the body hang over, nice and heavy. And then let's flatten that back, come up, reach up all the way. Hands to heart. Arms come out and up. And forward fold, flat back all the way down. Halfway lift, move through your vinyasa. Down dog. Right leg lifts, bend and spin that hip open. Same thing here, extend the right leg, bring the right elbow, right knee to the right elbow, and then lift. Again, right knee, right elbow, and lift. Right knee, right elbow. Last time, lift, and step the foot in between the hands. This time, immediately go for pyramid pose. So you're just gonna extend the right leg long, reach through the back heel, try to keep your hips square, fold over that front leg. Feel that openness happening in the back of the right thigh. Now bend down into a lunge. And from here, we're just gonna walk the hands to the center. So we're in Skandasana. Okay, so you're gonna sink down, weight into the right heel, hips come down, chest lifts. If you need to keep your hands down, that's okay. But we're really trying to get those hips almost all the way to the floor. You can use your right triceps to push into that right leg to open that up. Find your breath. And then we'll just rotate back the same way. So come rotate back, use your hands, find that low lunge, step back, and move through your vinyasa. Down dog, left leg lifts. Bend and spin the hip open. Extend the leg. And left knee, left elbow. Pause. Find the strength in your core. Left leg lifts. Left knee, left elbow. Lift, lift, lift. And extend. One more time. Then lift up. And step the feet in between the hands. Press back immediately into pyramid pose. Right heel is reaching for the ground. Extend through the left leg. Try to keep those hips square. Drop your head and neck down. Then bend the left knee to come into that lunge. And then we're just going to rotate the torso to the right. Right toes come up. Sit the hips back and down. Make any adjustments you need. And then if you want, take your hands to your heart. Right toes reaching skyward. Left knee reaching skyward. One more big breath here. Then use your hands to help rotate you back into the lunge. Step back, plank pose, and then find your flow. Press back, down dog. High on the toes, bend the knees. Make your way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Hang out here for just a second. Let the legs open up. And then we're just gonna bend the knees slightly and roll up one vertebra at a time. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna take you guys off mute because we're gonna move into these arm balances. So I wanna make sure if anybody has questions that they can ask. I don't know if I can take you off on mute. You might have to unmute yourselves. Yeah, I think you have to do it. Take yourselves off mute. And we're gonna move into these balanced postures. Okay, so we're gonna start off with what we're gonna call the easy one, okay? So all my blankets are rather inconvenient, so I'm gonna grab just a pillow for myself. Maybe that's what you have too, that's all right. And if you have blocks, grab those. Does anybody, I'm gonna come where I can see you better. Does anybody not have blocks or something sturdy that they can use to help? Does everybody has something they can use?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay. Good. All right, so.
When you hear a crashing sound, you'll know it's me.
That's you, all right. Make sure you have a crash mat. So we're gonna start. These aren't too scary. And I meant to practice, which of course I didn't. And it's been a long time since I've done some of these, so we'll see what happens, but it's all fun. So the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna try, actually that one's kind of hard. We're gonna try, what is this? Scale pose? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a real pose and I can't remember the name. So what you're gonna try to do is you're gonna use your hands to lift your bottom off the ground and your feet. Okay, so that's where a little height can come in handy if you have use a little bit of height, right? That helps you lift your hips up off the ground. Okay. Also, a little trick here, if it's available to you and you can cross your feet one over the other, That's gonna make a tighter space here for you to be able to lift. It's not totally necessary, but it does make it a little bit easier to get that height, okay? So when we started the class, we started in Dandasana. Remember that? We had our hands placed towards the sides of our hips and you press into the ground. It's the same action here, okay? So just play with this, see what happens. I'm gonna turn to the side. Maybe you can see if I get any air here, okay? So I'm gonna press my hands into the ground and then I'm lifting and I'm off the ground. I'm using my core, lift, and then I press back down. So if you have blocks, you can put those at your side, and that's gonna definitely give you more space to lift. So you press into the hands and lift up. You gotta really use that core. It's ready to go sit-ups. So try that out, play with that. Now, Galen, I've seen you do this in TRX, I think, and you've done it with straight lines too. That's incredibly impressive. Ugh. Maybe you can do this. Wow, look at me. You have blocks, you can try that. So just give that a little bit of play. See how that goes. Can anybody do it?
No.
You
Actually, it's almost easier straight-legged. It's almost easier straight-legged. The cross legs makes a lot of. I can't fold my legs like that, so then it's really hard on the abs.
That flexibility in your hips, it might be easier for you, but it's also a lot of added weight for most of us to put our legs out in front. It's easier to lift if it's more compact, but if you don't have that flexibility in your hips, I can see why that might be easier, right?
My legs are too long.
Your legs are too long, lucky you.
Luckily, my legs are skinny.
Yes, you're.
Molly doesn't have toenails, so her toes are lighter, so that makes it easier.
You can make it a tricep dip.
Whee! Yes. So that's the first one. And then the second, and this one is a little bit difficult to get into. And if you don't have the flexibility in your hips, it might not be for everybody. So you might try the pose that we just did instead. And I have done this before, but it's been quite a while. So we're going to see if I can make it happen. I'm going to take off my watch. So this one, if you have the flexibility in your hips, okay, you're going to come back into that lotus pose. So for those of you that don't know what that is, you take your top foot, wherever that's going to be, and you find the hip crease in your opposite leg. Goal is to put your foot in that hip crease, right? It's a pretty big opening in that hip, and it's not for everybody's knees. And then you take the other foot and bring it towards the other hip crease. So you cross on top, okay? Now, I've got myself in this situation, and now I don't know if I can get out of it. So the hands actually come in the spaces here where your feet are. So you're like in this big pretzel, okay? And then you come down and you try to lift. Yep, you gotta rock a little bit. And then up. Press, press, press.
Is there an alternative? Is there an alternative?
Yes, the pose we just did.
Okay.
It's tricky because you have to fold yourself up into it, right? So if you have that flexibility, you can play with that one a little bit. If not, think about the other one. And maybe you're not getting any air, and that's totally fine. Think about pulling in the core, just getting that strength, because you've got to be pretty strong in your core. You've got to be pretty strong in those hip flexors too, right? You've got to be strong in those arms, strong in the triceps. Got to have some flexibility in those rests. Maybe you want to take a minute to circle them out, okay? And then if you want some tricks or tips to work on getting those hip flexors a little bit stronger before we move into the next series here, you can always take like a wide leg, just as wide as you can go, doesn't matter. And then you put your hands on either side of one leg. You just practice lifting the one leg up, right? And you'll feel that in that hip flexor right there. So you get a lot of strength just by doing little movement like that. So that can help you whenever you're trying to get into these sort of arm balances that requires a lot of like, you know, we're tucking in, we're lifting up, and you're really using your core. It's like, I mean, it's just like when we're on our backs, right? And we're like squeezing in like this. except you're seated, right? So anyway, that's fun. I should put my watch back on now so I can watch the time. So now I want to try crow pose. And I think we've done this before. Some of you have done it with me, maybe some of you haven't. But if you have a block, you can use the block. If you don't have a block, that's okay. Also, pro tip, set up your crash mat in front of you, wherever you're going to be, okay? So I want to stay on my mat. And if you want to have your crash pad, it needs to go right in front of you, okay? You can also have your block, and I'll show you both. But so crow pose, when we do crow, first thing we want to do, and we opened up our hips a little bit, but you might want to take a minute to do it a little bit more. So we can find Malasana, which is garland pose, and we do this sometimes, but we did this in Skandasana. We opened up our hips. So for Malasana, your feet are not quite as wide. You bend the knees like a deep squat, hips reaching towards the ground. So you're reaching the tail under, chest lifts, and then elbows are pressing into the inner thighs. This is the first step of crow pose. So we need to be able to find this pose first, okay? It doesn't have to be as low as mine. This is just a really good way to get set up. And then if you're here, take your hands apart. So.
Oh, this one.
Yes. So here, now my hands are flexed, still pressing into the knees, hips reaching down and under, really scooping, okay? So that's the first part. Now, try that with your toes together, okay? So we're gonna take our toes, actually more like heels together. So heels are together, toes out, right? And I'm balanced here, high on the toes, heels together, okay? Hips nice and open. And now take that same kind of motion. Press the back of your arm, it's the tricep, into those thighs. You can bring your hands together if you want, but this is the pose. So the pose is this, but up in the air, okay? So one thing you can do, well, first I'll show you the pose. So I'm gonna bring my knees up. I'm gonna bring them into my body, okay? I'm bringing them up high, almost to my shoulders is the goal here, and I'm squeezed into a tiny little ball, right? So that's where I wanna be when I do eventually get up. I'm gonna start by putting my hands about shoulder width apart. I'm up on the toes, heels are together, and I'm just gonna start by rocking forward. Maybe you lift one toe, maybe you lift the other toe, but you can see I've got my weight on my triceps, okay? So first play with that, okay? And if you're not comfortable, put your crash pad down. So if you fall, you're just gonna fall right onto that, okay? And you'll be just fine. And then, if that feels okay for you, you might take one foot off, and then the other foot off. Those come together, hips lift. Knees resting on the back of the triceps. So it's not really as much about strength as you think it is. It's more about bone stacking, okay? So you want to lift those hips up enough that you're making like a little lever in the center of your body so that you can find that balance. Now, if you want to try the block, some people like the block because they feel like they can rest their head on it, right? You have to play with it a little bit, find what level you might like. If you have a block, you can use it almost like a tripod, right? So there's a little tiny weight in my forehead and weight in my hands. Hips are lifting up, belly squeezing. But it's just a nice way to transition between like taking one foot off the ground or whatever. And if you're not feeling super steady yet, you can use the block. It's just a little bit of a prop there, right? How's everybody doing? Gonna waddle over here.
Hey Sarah, is it okay if your feet don't like touch each other when you're trying to go?
Yes.
Okay.
that again takes a lot of strength to pull your legs in. So a lot of this at first is just getting comfortable with the mechanics of finding that balance, you know, that back and forth. And then once you have it, you can play with it. There are lots of ways you can play with this pose. And, you know, it's just really about finding that point where your hips are high enough that there's that sort of balance of weight, right? And like I said, it all involves a great deal of flexibility, right? To get yourself into those positions anyway. So once you're up there, then you can work on that squeeze and pulling in and all of that, right? Okay, is everybody ready? Are you so ready to do the next one?
Yep.
No. That's okay. You're gonna try anyway. Okay. So the next one, John is a pro. He's done this one. I think Galen, I think you've done this one too. So we're gonna do side crow. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Side crow, same idea, kind of, except you're twisted. And so when we did our twisted chair, right? We're here. Everybody try this for me. Find your twisted chair, and then from here, just take your hands, like jazz hands, and face them straight towards your screen. Okay? This is twisted crow, except on its side. Okay? So when we did our twist, that's what we were practicing. Okay? So for twisted crow, you actually do come into it from that position. Okay? So you're back in your chair pose. You find your hands in their correct position. Now, check this out, because you have to twist a little bit. I'm going to take my hands and my torso and I'm going to rotate them so they're parallel with my mat. Do you see that? My knees are still tracking forward while my torso and hands have come to the side of my mat. And then I'm going to take the outside of my left thigh and rest it on my triceps. Okay? Let me see if I can show you. This way might be a little easier for you to see. So you can also come to it from here if your legs are tired. So I'm going to take my hands. My knees are going to track forward. I'm going to twist my torso to the left. I'm going to place my hands straight out in front of me. Now I'm going to use my arms as a shelf, and I'm going to tip myself onto my elbows and lift my toes. Right? So use those triceps as a shelf, squeeze the legs in, and then you just get back down. Just like that.
Should we be getting our thigh on both triceps? Because I seem to only hit one.
If you can. The goal would be
Okay.
on both. Again,
Okay.
you're squeezing into this teeny tiny little ball, right? If you can't,
Okay.
that's okay. As long as you get it on, let's call it your outside arm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I hit.
And then if you've got that, you can move into a scissor. Okay. So I'm going to show you that on my opposite side. So I've got my hands down, my knees are tracking forward, torso's twisted. I'm going to tip my weight onto my side, lift the foot, and then I'm going to extend my legs. One comes behind, one comes to the side. Side crow. Right? And you can set your crash mat up in front of you. Make sure if you want your crash mat, you put it towards the side that you're going. Okay? So if you're going to tip, you're just going to tip it onto your crash pad there. Anybody have any questions?
Hey, Sarah, when you're doing the side and the normal crow, where should we be looking? Should we be looking straight ahead or looking down?
Down. Let me think. So if I'm coming down, I'm looking a little bit ahead, but down, you know, like, yeah, just a little bit ahead. Like, you know,
Okay.
inches ahead. And I would do that in regular crow as well. You don't want to crane your neck, right? You're not trying to crane your neck. You're just looking for a steady place in the floor. How's everybody doing? Everybody okay?
Yep.
Nobody left yet. That's good.
I'm having success on one side and not on the other.
Well, what's that your esthetician says? Your eyebrows are sisters, not twins.
Yeah.
That's like, right? Okay. So shake out your arms for a minute and we'll move into our next one. Now this next one is, we're gonna do 2 more. And if you need to leave, that's okay. Because I was a little bit late starting, but I wanna show you these 2. So if you need to head out, that's okay. But if you wanna stay, that's fine as well. Or if you're ready for Shavasana, go ahead. But I wanted to show you, especially this next one, because I've never done it with you guys before. So this one, I don't know what this is called, but you take it from a figure 4, okay? What's that? Nobody, okay. So I'm gonna sit back in my figure 4, okay? So I'm sitting back and I take my hands and I'm gonna bring them as far down as I can. So I've got my foot hooked over my arm. Can you see that? Okay. So you've got to be able to bend down pretty far here. Okay. So I've got my chest on top of my leg and then my foot wrapped around my left arm. Okay. So I want to try that first, see how that goes. And then from there, you're going to come into that same sort of crow thing. I'm going to place my hands down. I'm bent here. And now I'm going to lift my back foot off and extend behind. Woo! That was really good. You're coming up and you can just lift your toes off. You're in this figure 4 arm balance. And you're
That's flying pigeon.
Oh, yeah, it's flying pigeon.
Flying pigeon.
You're really gripping outside of your arm with your flexed foot. And if you can't get up, that's all right. I'm tired. I bet you guys are tired too. You might try it on both legs. Just introduce these today. They're fun. Try it. You might just stay here, right? You can try to lift that toe up, see how that goes. You know. So that's flying pigeon.
The flexibility.
I'm going to on to the next one, so I want to show it to you. But these are, we can, if you want to try these again another time, let me know. And we'll build in more time for some of these that are a little bit more challenging. So the last one is, I forget what it's called again. My mom might remember. But it's exactly what we were doing when we bring our knee to our elbow. When we're doing our flow, leg lift.
It's running man.
Is it?
Yeah.
So when I have you guys hang out here, we're going to take this into a balance. Okay. So again, we're really trying to get that, whatever leg is coming forward on top of the triceps. Okay. So you start in your plank, you bring your elbow or your knee to your elbow, but you bend the elbows like chaturanga. So I've made a shelf, right? Lift the back foot. And if you have it, you can extend the other leg. Right?
Okay, that one's a lot easier.
I know the flying pigeon is tough. I used to be able to do it better, but like I said, I haven't done some of these in a really long time. So you come into that knee to elbow, bend the elbows, rest your chest on one elbow as well. Let that be a shelf. So I have my inner thigh. If I'm bringing my left leg up, my left inner thigh is on the back of my left triceps, and my right ribs are on the other arm. So I'm making a shelf for my whole body.
Yeah, the trick on that one is getting your head really low, almost touching the ground.
That's true. And then you have to lift your legs up.
Uh-huh.
So any of these poses have to be, it's all about that seesaw, right?
Yeah.
Where's your fulcrum? Where's your weight? And it's just a matter of practice, right? And then, strength, flexibility, all those things. But that said, I'm going to invite you to find your Shavasana if you're ready. If you want to keep playing, go ahead. And if you have any questions, you can hang out after. But because I've kept you guys, let's take a quick Shavasana. Find your rest. Take a minute, settle back into the floor. Those are really, really challenging poses. But it's important to remember that really just showing up and giving it a try is the most important part. You don't have to do it. There is no perfect, there's never any sort of being done with yoga. It is a practice. I am here. I can try. I will accomplish. I do show up. Those are the important parts. So let any of that tension go. Let any set of expectation go. And just be proud of yourself for showing up and trying something new today. Let your bones settle back into the ground. Find gratefulness for that ground for supporting you during those balances. I'm going to invite you to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. Cross your hands over your heart. Give yourself thanks and gratitude for showing up today. Thanks and gratitude for trying, showing up. You can do anything you set your mind to. And thank you all for practicing with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Namaste. Stay here as long as you like. If you want to hang out and ask me questions, that's totally fine. Or if you've had quite enough of me for the day, I get it.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. I'm dying. I'm sweaty. Oh, you guys are muted. Thanks,
That was
Gabe.
more like, yeah, thanks. That was more like dying pigeon, not flying pigeon.
Well, I knew it was going to be hard, but I thought it's going to be Christmas. Let's just try something fun and different. So
Yeah,
thanks.
I couldn't even get my forearm, my leg above my forearm and the standing, let alone on the ground. So
Get into 8-angle pose. I was going to do that one too. That one you have to put like your foot behind your head and all kinds of things. Sorry you missed it.
no.
Maybe next time.
All right, enjoy your new puppy.
Oh, I will try. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.